Hi, my name is Razink, and I'm the CEO of DropChain. Today, we're going to show you how to claw back a token or an NFT that you've created using the DropChain API. If you haven't yet, please create a free account on dropchain.network and do the quick start guide. That'll get you set up with everything you need to know. You can build both no-code and code Web3 apps using the DropChain API, but for this example, we're going to do the no-code version, where we're going to show you how to use the DropChain API with just a no-code example, and then you can integrate that into your own Web3 app. Either that's code app or a no-code version using something like Bubble, which we have guides for as well. We can kind of see the clawback asset endpoint, which is supposed to be used for something like if you sent a token to the wrong person, or maybe you give an NFT to everybody, but only those who have completed your game, if you have a Web3 game, or have done something to earn it, keep the asset, and everyone else has the assets clawed back. That could be an example of this. Really, it kind of depends on how you want to do this. This endpoint allows you to give an NFT out and then use this endpoint to take it back, to claw it back. If you haven't yet, the first version of the, actually I have to relog it real quick. The first version or first iteration of our example has allowed us to set up all of the infrastructure needed to make our first API calls. And so we have set up Postman. We'll have links in the description to get this all set up. We'll go to the asset unfreeze, but this is just the DropChain API. We just did the freeze and unfreeze version. Go back to the API console, and we'll be able to get everything we need to have for our API call. And so we're going to use the clawback asset endpoint. And so we're going to go here and we're going to add a request. Asset clawback. We're going to update this to post. You can see we go to curl here on our documentation. Go to clawback. This is a video version of this article. Go to curl because this is the best way to view this. And we have a request. This is a post request. So we're going to update our request to have post. We're going to include the URL we're sending it to. If you haven't yet, let's take the API, XAPI key in the authorization. API key, push this in there. And this is the version that we've been using previously. We would put this API key here when we generate a new API key. This is censored so that you don't accidentally expose it in the future, but if you lose it, like we can just do this real quick. We'll delete the previous one and generate a new one. And this is good practice to do relatively consistently. So I'm going to take this API key, I'm going to fill this in, I'm going to enter, perfect. We're also going to add we can do the data section now. So we're going to copy the data JSON object, JavaScript object notation. We're going to go to raw, and you'll see, when we paste this here, we should have JSON. And so we've copy and paste the body, the data section of our curl request for the clawback asset example, and put it in here. And we're just going to fill in the asset. And earlier in the previous videos, we created the DropChain NFT. So now we have the DropChain NFT that we have minted previously. And what we're going to do here is we're going to send it. I believe the owner is, let's see, who owns this? We can check. We sent it from MQSK to AKED. Let's take a look at our console. MQSK sent it to AKED. So for our example, test user 1 is the user 1 ID, and this is the creator of the NFT that we have. This is the DropChain NFT we're using in this example. Test user 1 made this NFT, and test user 2 is currently owning the NFT. So in our previous examples, we sent that NFT from test user 1 to test user 2. You can see test user 1 here, we sent it to test user 2. And so what we're going to do is we're going to copy user 1 user ID, or test user 1, and we're going to put it in here. And what this means is that test user 1 is sending the transaction. We're also we're gonna grab test user 2's user ID, and we're gonna put this in a clawback user ID. What does that mean? This means that clawback user ID is the user who is getting the asset taken from them. So in this case, user 2 owns the NFT, user 1 has created it and wants to take it back for whatever reason. Maybe that's a part of your application. The receiver 1 in this instance is just going to be test user 1 because they're going to take it from test user 2 and send it back to themselves. And then we're going to say clawback transaction for the note. And we're going to hit send. Make sure you save your transaction because if you don't, you won't be able to save any of the parameters that you use. And just like that, let's copy the transaction ID and paste it into testnet.algoexplorer.io. And as you can see, we've transferred one asset, one DropChain NFT. We've sent it from test user 1, MQSK, which is the wallet address MQSK, and we took it back. You can see the clawback sender, the person who we're clawing the asset back from, is AKED, which is test user 2. So in this instance, we've showed you a good example with the clawback transaction node exactly showing what we've done. This is a good example of how you can integrate or at least test the integration of using the DropChain API to take an NFT or a token that you've given out to someone back for your application, which you can integrate into your app through code or no code means. Both are supported as long as they can use APIs, and we allow you to use these example smart contracts to build a robust Web3 app. You can do this just with the DropChain API and the DropChain tooling. No need to know how to make crazy special smart contracts. Please, if you haven't already, make an account using the link in the description at dropchain.network to get started, do the quick start guide, and hop in the Discord. There's also going to be a link in the description for that. Join the Discord, ask me and my co-founder a question. We're always in there as alongside other builders answering questions, and maybe you can meet other people also trying to build Web3 apps. Thanks.